I want to talk about something real quick, and I want to talk about arrogant people. And I think a lot of people don't know about arrogance and where it comes from and how to get it. Now, I'm not talking about people who are confident. There's a difference between people who are confident, because confident people can still take the failures and come out on top, right? They're humble to God. They're not humble to man, but they're humble to God, which is nothing wrong with that, right? I agree with that. But arrogant people, it's a difference. A lot of times, arrogant people, what you don't know is that they stay inside a comfort zone where they don't have to get exposed. They don't like to be exposed, right? So they stay in a comfort level where they are superior to everybody, and they always think that they're better than everybody, right? Because they need that. They have limited experience. They think they're better than everybody because they don't take risk. They don't risk nothing. They stay in a certain confines of who they are, and they're very limited in the knowledge of life, right? They have been calculated, but they don't take any risk at all, right? They're very fearful. So the arrogance is more of a wall to keep people out from really knowing who they really are. They don't want you because they know that if you know who they really are, it's a fear that you may not really like them. They don't even like themselves. So they create a level of arrogance to be able to ward people off, but also for you not to know who they are. And if you really knew who they are, they would get frustrated when you realize you don't really like them, and they're mad, and they go on. Let me give you an example. So I was dating this young lady, right? And I got invited to this cologne event, right, from a good friend of mine. And he was like, man, Joe, you got to come over here, come in. I went, and I said, asked her, I said, you want to go? She said, yeah. So she dressed to the nine, beautiful. And so we go there, and we're mingling and whatever. And the lady was telling me about a cologne that was only in Italy. I think she said Tuscany or something like that. And she said, have you ever been? I said, no, I've never been. I always wanted to go. And I was like, man, that's going to put one on my bucket list. I said, but tell me about it. And so she was telling me about, Italy and everything and how beautiful it is. And we were just vibing. So the girl I was with said, I've been to Italy. And she was like, oh my God, where? And she told her. And she said, so the lady said, did you stay on a resort? And so the girl said, yeah. She says, oh yeah, I don't stay on resorts. I don't think the lady mean it to try to be a dig, but arrogant people take things like that personal. They're always overanalyzing it and going deeper in things that don't really make sense. They think they know people just by just talking to them. So she said, no, me and my husband, we get a hotel, and we just get in a hotel, and we put a bag, and we just go see, get immersed inside the culture and really get to know the culture, and said that's what we really do. Like we feel as though you get a better understanding of the culture like that. So within 10 minutes, she ended up sending me a text message saying, I'm ready to go. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm going to drop her off. She's not too far from here, and I'm going to come back, right? Because I already dismissed her. So get in the car. She says, I can't believe you brought me here. Why would you bring me here, with these people? And then you're going to sit there and have a conversation with her, and that woman going to try to belittle me because she married and I'm not. And I'm looking at her, and I said, you are arrogant. And you're going to sit there and tell people, you're not the smartest person in the room and all this. And I'm not. I believe that I'm not the smart. I'm a special ed kid. I don't really vibe like that. Hey, man, I want to know people. So we went off, and she started talking. I said, yep, she's arrogant. And she went online and started talking about the date and whatever the case may be. Let me tell you something about arrogant people. Arrogant people never, ever, ever seek the truth. They're scared of it. They don't want it. So she had pancreatic cancer, and she didn't want to go to treatment and passed away. But she went to treatment pretty much at the last minute and passed away. She didn't want to go get treatment because here's the thing about arrogant people. Her thought process, right, was it was going to take away her beauty. That was what it is. Not the fight to live, not the fight to do whatever. It would take away her beauty. It would take away the very tools she needed in order to feel superior than other people. It will put her down to the other plate. It will put her on a level of being human, an average. And she didn't like that. This is the secret that a lot of arrogant people do not want to tell you. I had a great friend of mine, a homeboy was like that. He had a body of a god. Used to always think that he was belittled, always talking a certain way. Never, he would demean people, not for the actions they're doing towards themselves, but he would demean them for just being them, and he would talk that stuff, and he got humbled. Ended up in a car accident and ended up losing his leg. Humbled him, right? See, here's the thing with those type of people, it's not humans in society that humbles them, it's God, right? Because there's something you need to teach, because you're going completely against what he may want for you. And you're belittling something that maybe needs to be a teachable moment. Now he's the most humblest person ever. Now he's helping people. Now he's able to do that because he's realizing on the other side of that is experience. That's the key that you have to understand. They don't have a lot of experience. But what they have is a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear, right? They're afraid of living life. And because of that, they don't want to fail because they feel as though they can't be vulnerable. See, failure is vulnerability. You're going to be vulnerable. I failed an awful lot. I had a heart attack, right? So I failed an awful lot. So I had humble experience. That's why I always stay this way. People don't understand that about me. I'm no different than no one else. I don't think differently anyway. As a matter of fact, I went to college, and I think I probably was the dumbest student there. That's just me. I graduated, I passed, but I always think that people are more intelligent than me, because I want to learn. I want to learn from people. I listen to people. I don't believe that what you're going through is any different than what I've gone through, right? But here's the thing. With arrogant people, they never want to get outside of their box. They love to date people who are beneath them. They love to date people because it gives them power. It makes them feel important in a world where they're just like us, right? They're just like us. They're no different. They are just more afraid. They don't take risk. This is why everything is so structured in their life, because anything outside of that would expose who they really are, right? That's why a lot of them don't want to love. They don't want to be in love with someone because that would risk exposure, and they thinking they're going to fail. They deal with a lot of failures. A lot of them, and to be honest with you, a lot of them don't have a very great relationship with their mother, and they don't have a great relationship with their fathers, right? A lot of them have a lot of trauma inside of them, and they don't know what to deal with it. And they don't understand that it's okay to live and be okay with that, and love and live and just fail. I mean, I fail all the time, and I'm okay with it. I learn from it. I don't get frustrated. I don't get mad. I accept it, right? Now, there's a difference between people who are confident, and you're confident based on the amount of experience you had, the amount of stuff that you have won, and your losses that you learned from, right? That's a difference between Supreme and Comp. The great example is Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is one of my heroes. He's a confident man, right? But why? Because he's experienced so much stuff, and he believes in God. So the first person he cries out for in humility is his creator. That's the difference. Confident people, no matter what, because they've gone through so much, they still go back to the source. Take care.